Hello everybody, the final card reveal stream for Rise of Shadows is over. We have all of the cards. So let's go over them. Not all of them, just the new ones. But I do think I am going to do a thing where I'm not going to have access to the fireside like theory crafting thing like they're going to be doing for like the early card opening thing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish excuse me. I'm going to finish doing my card review, and then I'm going to make another video where I'm just sort of playing Hearthstone and maybe trying to theory craft up some decks, try to see if we can make a little bit of these metas work without the cards, so that we can like better understand where we're going once the expansion hits. So yeah, that'll be fun, I think. Plus, it'll just be fun to just sort of talk about the cards some more. Why not? Especially now that we have all the cards, maybe my opinions on some of the previous cards might have changed. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I've been too busy thinking about the cards that we're seeing right now. So let's just get into it. So we're going to start off with the Exotic Mount Seller. 7 mana, 5/8. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 3-cost beast. I think it's a little specific. It is kind of weirdly specific. But there are a lot of good 3-cost beasts, you know, like Mukla and stuff. There's a lot of bad ones too. I do think this is sort of similar to the Raven for Mage, except instead of being just for Mage, this is a neutral, so you could put it in. A Spell Hunter would probably be really good. They put it in Druid, I think, on the reveal stream, and it was sort of like Token Druid I don't think really needs it, but I mean it is an option. It is something you could do, especially with them trying to push this spell Druid. So I mean you could put it in there too. You could also put it in like Priest or something for some board generation, because they're going to be playing a whole lot of spells. On a whole, I think it's neat. I could definitely see this being played in a lot of decks. The body is a little under, but the fact that it's got more health than attack really does do it credit. And yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. It's got good flavor, it's got good uses all around, and it's a neutral. Yeah, I could definitely see it being played. Next, Barista Lynchen, or Lincoln? Lynchen? I don't know how you pronounce that. 5 mana, 4/5, Battlecry, add a copy of each of your other Battlecry minions to your hand. Wow. That's pretty interesting. 5 mana, 4/5 is bleh, but like creating it's almost like a worse Shudderwock, I guess. But I mean, even then, I could still see this being like used a lot, or maybe like a worse of that other thing that brings the minions back to your hand, but they cost 1. Like the whole like Battlecry Shudderwock deck. Like I think like this wants to be in a similar sort of deck. It's better in that it's not pulling all the things off of the board in order to put it back into your hand to make it cost 1. You're just getting another copy. So I don't know how to feel about this one. I think it's sort of all over the place. I think it's perfectly usable. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, I would love to see this being experimented with. Like Battlecry synergies are just fun to mess with, and we've seen a lot of them. Like, yeah, I'm pretty into this. One thing you could do, I think, you could combo this with the Archivist, because it's replacing your deck but not your hand. So if you draw this, so you play this, you replace your deck with the new things, and then if it survives, you play this, and you could just like, you run out of cards again, you do it again. I don't know why the game would last so long. but you could do that, and it would be very interesting. Yeah. I definitely think this is going to be a very interesting card. I like it. Next. The Boom Reaver. Warrior Legendary. 10 mana, 7/9 mech. Battlecry, summon a copy of a minion in your deck and give it rush. That's a little underwhelming, actually. It really has nothing to do with booms. I mean, it's a recruit mechanic, and it's a recruit mechanic that's really good because it gives the minion rush as well. But I don't know. I think this probably wouldn't want to be in a boom-based deck because you're disposing of that all-important battle cry. So this would probably want to be in a non-boom mech deck, which, like in a mech deck, it works because it's a mech and you're pulling another mech out. So even if they get rid of the Boom Reaver, you've got another mech that you can magnetic onto, and if they kill the other thing, then you've got this. And you run the chance of pulling like a taunt or something out of there. So you pull a taunt or something with high attack and you can use it to trade. There's a lot of use for this, but I think that it doesn't want to be in the one deck that it's named for, which feels bad. Next. Conjurer's Calling, Mage spell, 3 mana twin spell, destroy a minion, summon 2 copies of the same cost, summon 2 minions of the same cost to replace it. So, bleh. Very interesting. This is sort of like token mage play sort of thing, where maybe you've got a minion, you run it into something, it's only got 1 health, you're like, oh man, they're just gonna like kill it with a spell or trade something and get rid of it really easily. Well, why don't I just go bam, and now I've got 2 new minions of the same cost. And you've got this again, so you could actually like do it again and get more tokens on the board. It's very interesting, and I'm like, I like it because it's randomonium and I'm totally going to use it. But I am sort of wondering about the viability of a just token mage sort of thing. Because mage, right now at least, really likes using the tech minions, the minions that are for a specific purpose. They've not really stepped too far into the token side of things. Like, even elemental stuff, while there was a lot of token play with the fireflies and stuff, it still wanted it for that elemental synergy more. So you couldn't just have any tokens, you know. It wanted those specific tokens. So this, I'm not too sure a token mage could work, but I'd be up for seeing it. Next, the Potion Vendor. 1 mana, 1/1 battlecry. Restore 2 health to all friendly characters. I feel like the Potion Vendor is like a lackey turned good, because it's lackey stats, 1 mana, 1/1, and all of its importance is on the battle cry, and it's a positive battle cry. That's pretty darn good. So it really feels like this is like, we can't make this a lackey. What if we made it a good guy lackey? There's not a whole lot of them. Let's do that. And just as a flavor sort of thing, I think that's really neat. In terms of it as a card, it's fine. Restoring 2 health to all friendly characters is really useful. They played it in Priest with card draw as its main focus, which does definitely work. But you could do this in any sort of token deck, like anything where it's like, oh, they're setting up for a board clear. Well, bam! Now it's ruined. Ha ha ha! Like, this would have been really good in their Merlok Shaman deck, because he set up for the board clear early, and there was like a whole turn where it's like everything was just really hurt. Could have played this, and it's canceled. Ha ha ha! So I think in token decks, this is going to be really good. Not only is it really low cost, so it can be used as token fodder to just like get rid of things, like get it destroyed in Warlock. get it used up for something. But it also has that good battle cry for tokens. So yeah, in a token deck, good. In most priest decks that care about healing, it's good. Next, the Dalaran Librarian. 2 mana, 2/3, battlecry, silence adjacent minions. Okay, so we're getting into the silence minions thing that they started pushing. They've been trying to push silence priest for so long that it became a meme for a good span of time. Where it's just like, ha, that card. Who would want to silence your own minions? That's so dumb. It never works. Like, it was a thing you could do way back in vanilla and then got just shoved aside by so many other things. And they're like, oh no, let's try to bring it back. Nope, didn't work. Let's try to bring it back. Nope, didn't work. Let's try to bring it back. Ha ha ha. Stop trying. And now they're like, it's a thing! Here's all of these cards. All of these incredible cards with terrible things. And all of these silence utility. Make it a thing! We just want Silence Priest to be a thing! And, yeah. It's kind of hard to argue with it at this point. And not just Silence Priest. I mean, a lot of these are neutrals. You could make a Silence something else as well. They really want it to be Silence Priest, though. And I can't think of too many other things that you'd want to use. Sorry. Where you'd want to use the whole silence mechanic. Maybe as more token fodder, as if you really needed it. But you could. You could use it as more token fodder. Really, I think cards like this depend entirely on whether or not the silence mechanic as a meta takes off. Like, if Silence Priest is good, if Silence tokens are good, then this card is good. And that's just where that's got to be. Arcane Watcher, 3 mana, 5/6, can't attack unless you have spell damage. This is interesting. Not only is it also neutral, so it's pushing into the whole Silence Priest thing, but because it's can't attack unless you have spell damage, you could also put this in Mage. And it would probably work, because it's 3 mana, 5/6, which is nuts. And yeah, you could also put this potentially in some sort of a buff thing and give it taunt or something. Why not? But specifically as a silence thing, I think it is very strong because, I mean, it is just a 3 mana, 5/6, excuse me. So you could, for 5 mana, play that and then this, and you've got yourself a very good turn 5 play with 7-9 worth on turn 5, which is pretty good. I think this has more of a chance of working than the silence mechanic because of the spell damage restriction rather than like needing to be silenced, but not much more. So I think it still pretty much hinges on it. Next, the Hench Clan Shade Quill, 4 mana, 4/7, Death Rattle, restore 5 health to the enemy hero. They compared this with Zombie Chow, and yeah, pretty much. It's like a really beefed up Zombie Chow. I like that it's got a lot of health, so you could probably deal 8 damage to the enemy hero. Like, hit it, go in twice, and then it restores the 5 health, and it's like, well, it's already done 8 damage, so it still did 3 damage worth before it got killed, plus it soaked up whatever you had to do to kill it. If you do silence it, all the better, but I don't actually think it needs it, because 4 mana 4/7 is just good. Like, that's just pretty nice. Even if you do end up healing your opponent, I still think that because of how much health it has, it's worth it soaking up whatever it took to kill it, along with dealing any amount of damage. So yeah, I definitely think that this will work. Next, The Convincing Infiltrator, 5 mana, 2/6 with Taunt, Death Rattle, destroy a random enemy minion. This goes very well with that 2 mana Void thing that's like copy the Death Rattle. Because, I mean, just 2 mana destroy a minion is pretty nuts. Like, we've seen a couple of those, especially in, like, Hunter with, like, Poisonous. And with Poisonous, it's like, that's already pretty good, but making it a Death Rattle instead of Poisonous, so while you can't necessarily trigger it as well, it has a better chance of going off. I think it's a good trade. Just on its own, a 5 mana 2/6 with Taunt is pretty bleh, but that it destroys an enemy minion, it is almost comparable to the Obsidian statue. If you could give this lifesteal somehow, it would be even better. Because we have that 5 mana 2/6 with Taunt and lifesteal. If you could somehow mash these together and make it a 5 mana 2/6 with Taunt and lifesteal, Death Rattle, destroy a random enemy minion, that would be a busted good card. Like, I would love that card. But even as it is, it's not terrible. Honestly, I think as it is, maybe it should have been it should cost 4 instead of 5, but it's fine. Next, the Waggle Pick, Rogue Weapon, 4 mana, 4/2, Death Rattle, return a random friendly minion to your hand, and it costs 2 less. Hey, Rogue likes weapons, and Rogues like bouncing, bouncing cards. So, yeah, win-win. I think it costs a little too much. I think maybe this should have costed 3, but I think it's fine. I don't think that that in this specific case the extra mana cost is too big of a difference, because it is 8 damage plus return a random friendly minion. You do kind of have to maneuver it so that you're getting the one you want back. But if it's a sort of deck that's built around bouncing, you probably don't have to worry about it too much. Like, if you've got 5 Pogo Hoppers and the 3/2 that shuffles more to your deck on the board at the time, and then you get it off, like, it really doesn't matter if you get if the one of the 5 Pogo Hoppers or the 3/2. You would want the 3/2, but, you know, you could settle for a Pogo Hopper. It wouldn't feel too bad. Next. Unsleeping Sole. 4 mana priest spell. Silence a friendly minion, then summon a copy of it. Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty powerful card. The silence thing is, well, whatever. Like, it's as much a downside as it is an upside in this particular case. But the fact that it's 4 mana, create a copy of a minion, like, in the late game, that's really good. Like, anything that costs more than 4 makes this card good. And there's not really anything else to say about it. Like, anything, you would want to cast this on any priest minion that costs more than 4. Any of them. I mean, yeah, the silence hurts, so maybe you don't want to cast it on that 5 mana taunt with the Death Rattle, but theoretically, anything that you play that you want for the stats, you could do that. Like, heck, even really the Arcane Watcher. Like, you could play the Arcane Watcher on turn 3 and play this on turn 4, and that's 2 5/6s, and that's hard to argue with. That's pretty darn good. And it's 2 silenced Arcane Watchers, so they can both attack. Yeah. With the silence synergy, it's good, and without it, it's still perfectly playable. I like it. Next. The Soldier of Fortune. 4 mana, 5/6 elemental. Whenever this minion attacks, give your opponent a coin. I love the card art for it. It reminds me very much of the Zandalari boss that I still am having trouble beating. Like, I'm still stuck on that one, and it feels so bad because I really like that raid, and I feel guilty that I'm still stuck on that one. But As a card, 4 mana 5/6 is good, but the effect is terrible. Like, you wouldn't want to play this in Elemental Synergy. The fact that it's Elemental is completely pointless. You would only play this in a Silence Priest. So, much like the Dalaran Librarian, it depends entirely on whether or not this is good. Because, like, they compared this to the dragon that had the death rattle of give your opponent 2 coins. But even that had some use. This is worse. Because they're not killing it in order to get the death rattle off, so they have no incentive to kill it other than the fact that it deals 5 damage. But it only deals 5 damage if you attack with it, which will give them a coin. So they almost want you to hit them with it. I mean, sure, 5 damage isn't equivalent to a coin. They couldn't print a card that's 0 cost, deal 5 damage to your hero, get a coin. That would be terrible. But, like, maybe they put out a taunt. Because it's whenever this minion attacks. It's not attacks the enemy hero. So, they put out a taunt, and they get a coin. So they almost would want that. Meanwhile, you're giving your opponent coins. Which feels bad. It doesn't really matter how much damage you're doing. It feels bad to give your opponent a coin. So, I think that this card, it depends entirely on the Silence Synergy. And if the Silence Synergy doesn't work, then this card's not going to work. Next. The Proud Defender. 4 mana 2/6 with Taunt. Has +2 attack while you have no other minions. I like the little debate that they had about this one on the stream, where it is comparable to Tar Creeper in that it gets a buff under the right conditions, and that buff makes it way more of a threat, and it makes it way more worth it, so you're happier to play it when you get the effect off. But the downside is that the effect only goes off if it's not protecting anything except your face. And having only a 4 mana 4/6 with Taunt on board and no other minions, it's not a great situation to be in. Like, yeah, this does give you the added bonus that the Tar Creeper didn't have, that you can attack with that added attack. You can attack this with this as a 4 mana 4/6 with Taunt, but you can't play any other minions. So I'm not really seeing this card doing too well. Maybe in a spell-heavy sort of deck, like Priest or Mage, where you're not playing too many minions. But even they are getting minions this expansion that you want to play. So I don't personally see this card really taking off. Maybe as a, like, desperation, I have nothing to play on turn 5, or I have nothing to play on turn 4, and I just need to throw this out just to sort of soak a little bit of damage and help me stall until I can get more cards. And that's the only time. So I don't personally see it. Next. Inferno Warlock spell. 3 mana, give your minions +1 attack, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. So, this whole new Imp Demonology Warlock they're pushing, I like it so much better than normal tokens. Like, the normal token Warlock, I'm not really into. I'm not super into Reform Scheme either, even though that is sort of pushing the same Imp synergy. I'm really not into it. Like, on turn 6, you play this, you fill your board with imps, and then you play Reform Scheme, on turn 6, and then play this, and they're a board full of 2/1 imps, and you deal 1 damage. Yeah, that can work. I'm not saying it can't, but I still don't really like the scheme. All these other things around the scheme I like. The scheme itself is the card that I would toss. So, Inferno I like. And I do sort of like how the new Imp Demonology Warlock, it's sort of reminiscent of the new modern Warlock in WoW, the new Demonology Warlock in WoW that they started, I think, in Legion after the shifting, is way more imp heavy. Whereas before, it used to be all about your partner and having the right partner out at the right time, and having skills that temporarily summon 1 or 2 or 3 more like demons to help you, so you'd have like a small group of big demons fighting, and then you can also enslave a demon at the same time, so you'd have like 5 or 6 big demons that last for about 10 seconds, and then they all disappear except for your partner and the enslaved one, which lasts a little bit longer. Whereas the new Legion Battle for Azeroth Demonology Warlock is all about imps. It's all about having a huge army of little things. You got your 4 wild imps, you got your 4 wild imps, you got your partner, you've got the 2 Dreadstalkers that can have imps on their backs, so that's 2 more, and then you also had 2 or 3 spells that could summon more demons, and then you could like coalesce them together and you can use them for different things. Inferno is actually one of the things you could do. It's not called Inferno, but it's a thing that you could do where you sacrifice one of your wild imps, and it boosts the power of the rest of your demons. And it's very similar to this sort of thing. This, thankfully, you don't have to kill one of your minions to get it off. But it makes me think of that. And that sort of flavor really carries this imp demonology thing for me. This card specifically, in a normal token deck, it probably wouldn't work too well, because normal token deck, you've got like maybe 2 or 3 demons. The 2 stop copying me, that one, so technically it's more like 4 demons or 6 demons in that deck. So this wouldn't really work in that. But in this new imp-based demonology token warlock, this works a lot better, because you've got a lot more. So I like this. It doesn't even necessarily require the imp synergy to work, because it's demon synergy, and Warlock still has a lot of demons. We've lost a lot of our good ones, but there are still some demons left. And so if you just want to do just a demonology Warlock just on its own without the imp token synergy sort of thing, you can still do that and still use this. So I like it for that reason. It's not trying to be in 2 different decks. It fits in both decks very well. And I like it. Next. Mana Reservoir. 2 mana, 0/6 elemental, spell damage +1. Yeah. It's low cost, it's got no attack, but it's got a large amount of health for that spell damage +1. This works good. This works well in any spell anywhere. Like, a Malygos Druid, you could get it off. You could do it for some early game burn with Mage, any kind of Mage, Frost Mage, Burn Mage, even Elemental Mage. It's got Elemental synergy, so you could go to Wild and put this into your Jaina deck. You don't necessarily want to do that, but you could do it in the Elemental Randomonium thing where you're getting a bunch of new spells. Really. You could even put this in Hunter. You might not want to do that, but you definitely could, and you'd get some good use off of it. There's a lot of like good burning Hunter spells that could benefit off of some spell damage, and this is a perfectly good card to do it in. That health is going to make it real sticky. So, yeah. I definitely see this card being used a lot. I like it. It might be tossed eventually, because it is just a minion that does nothing, but that spell damage +1, I think, is going to be really, really good. Side note, if the Silence Priest takes off, they're going to have the exact toolkit used to counter this card and make it a completely worthless piece of garbage. So you know, if Silence Priest takes off, this card is going to be one of the first ones to suffer from it and get tossed. Next, the Magic Dart Frog. It's a Mage Beast, 2 mana, 1/3. After you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion. This is good. Like, it's costed well at 2 mana. It has some great randomonium, some great, like, mage synergy. It wants you to cast a lot of spells. I was talking earlier about a card that was the magic trick where it's like a 1 cost and you discover a spell that costs 3 or less. It's like, and I said this wants more cards that synergize off of drawing cards similar to the Auctioneer. And yeah, there's Khadgar. I didn't mention it before, but I was thinking about Khadgar when I said that. And I was like, well, just 1 card like that. Like, Khadgar has so many other things that it can use. Why would you want this specifically? Yeah, you get 2 spells off of it, but This is better because it's cheap. So you can play this and that and that. You could even, theoretically, on turn 10, play Antonidas, this, and an Arcane Missiles, and you'd get the Fireball, and the Arcane Missiles would go off extra. Even better if you've still got the Mana Reservoir out, and the and the Arcane Missiles is beefed up by the spell damage, so it turns into 5. So yeah, I definitely see this being used. It is a great magical friend. Next, the Magic Carpet. 3 mana, 1/6. After you play a 1-cost minion, give it +1 attack and rush. It's a great token synergizing card. It's got a lot of health, so it's pretty sticky at 3 mana. It can combo well because it's cheap, so you could play this on turn 5 and play this and 2 1-cost minions to give them both +1 attack and rush and have them just run into stuff for some good token synergy. All the better if they've got Death Rattle. It synergizes really well with lackeys because they're all 1 cost. So yeah, I think in any deck that uses lackeys, I think that this will have a home in one of them. Even better in a token-heavy lackey deck. So something like a lackey rogue or lackey warlock deck. Yeah, I definitely think this will see at least a little bit of play in one of those. It's not amazing, but it does give your lackeys and all your other 1-cost cards that little bit of oomph to make them all the better. It's a nice kicker card. Next, the Mad Summoner. 6 mana, 4/4, neutral demon. Battlecry, fill each player's board with 1/1 imps. Ugh. This is some good randomonium, I guess, of a sort. It's not random, it's just, why would you do that? It does synergize very well with that imp card. What is it? The Inferno. And they said that on stream. You're like on 9 mana, you play this, and then you play Inferno, your imps suddenly become 2/1s, and all their imps are gone. So, I don't know. I don't think this will see very much play. I will say, I think that this is a better imp generator than the stupid Reform Scheme. Because, yeah, Reform Scheme only costs 3, and this costs 6, but this has a 4/4 body attached, and you don't have to wait 6 turns for it to be useful. If you draw it in the late game. If it's in your starting hand, well then, yeah, like any other card, you'd have to wait. But, I don't know. I guess if you had to choose one to be in your starting hand, you'd want Reform Scheme because it's cheaper. But I think this, as a whole, in terms of imp generation, is probably better than that. But that's not saying much. That's not saying much at all. Ugh. Next, the Jumbo Imp. 10 mana 8/8 demon. Costs 1 less whenever a friendly demon dies while this is in your hand. This is amazing. This is a great demonology card because it says demon, not imps. You don't have to play Reform Scheme. You don't have to play the Mad Summoner for this card. It's not just imps. It's any demon. So you make just a normal demonology deck. Or you go to Wild and you play Discard Warlock with this. Or you play the Death Knight with this. It's crazy. This card in Wild for Warlock is going to be crazy good. In Standard, I think it's still going to see a lot of play, especially with this token thing that they're pushing. I definitely want to make a Wild Imp Demonology deck and have this be in it. I'm all about it. Love it. Next, the Kirin Tor TriCaster. 4 mana 3/3, spell damage +3, your spells cost 1 more. So this is very much for the combo Miracle Mage type thing, where you'd want to play, let's say in Wild you've got Ronin, you play, your Ronin dies, you get your 3 arcane missiles, and then you play this, and you're doing random 6 damage, random 6 damage, random 6 damage. It costs 2, so that's your whole turn. So that's like 6 mana, deal 6, 12, 18, 18 random points of damage. It's almost like Cthulhu at that point. So, yeah, in Wild, this is practically 10 mana Cthulhu. Like, this is, or 18 Cthulhu. Except without the body. So, you know. But in Standard, there's still a lot of good use. Like, yeah, it does turn Frostbolt into 3, and it turns Arcane Missile into 2, and it turns Fireball into 5. But it almost upgrades all of them. Like, with Arcane Missile, it is literally casting 2 Arcane Missiles for 1. It's like turning Arcane Missile into Twin Spell Arcane Missile, which is just good. For Frostbolt, it's the exact same. They both deal 3 damage, and you're actually getting a discount in that case because it's turning 2 mana into 3 mana, and not 4 mana. And then Fireball, that's where you start getting the drop-off, because it's dealing 9 damage instead of like 12 damage, but it is only for 1 more, so it's 5 mana deal 9 damage, which is pretty good. I think that this, like the card's description says, the math checks out. I think this will see play. The downside does suck, but you could counter it with a Sorcerer's Apprentice and get all the benefits and none of the downside. And even if you don't do that, it's still totally worth it. So I definitely think that it works. Next, Sunriver Warm Age. 5 mana 4/4 Battlecry. If you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, deal 4 damage. They tried to play this in Druid on the stream. I don't think it fits. I don't think it fits Druid. At least not with the current spells. Like, yeah, I guess with Treant Synergy you have that 5 mana spell, summons 3 Treants, and that works. And with Nourish, but no one wants to play Nourish right now. Maybe Tolerandus will make people want to play Nourish again, but probably not. Forest Aid, I'm still not totally sold on. I think this probably has a better fit in, like, Mage. Mage does big spells well. And yeah, it's losing, like, everything for big spell Mage, but you still have those big spells in your Mage deck. You're still gonna have Flame Strike and Blizzard. This just gives you a little extra. And it's not, and you don't even have to cast it first. It's if you're holding it in your hand. So, let's say you've got Blizzard. On turn 5, you play this. On turn 6, you play the Blizzard. And it's good synergy. So, I think this fits more in Mage than in Druid. But I guess theoretically you could also put it in Druid. You could also put it in Priest. Even Hunter. There's not a whole lot of Hunter spells that cost more than 5. In fact, I can't really think of one that's staying. My head immediately went to Crushing Walls, but I think we're losing Crushing Walls. Because that was in Kobolds and Catacombs, yeah? So, I don't know. But maybe Hunter. Hunter likes doing this sort of thing. The body stinks, but really it's for that spell synergy. So, if you've got the spell, it's worth it. If you don't, 5 mana 4/4 stinks. Next. Acorn Bearer. 1 mana 2/1 Death Rattle. Add 2 1/1 squirrels to your hand. More token stuff for Druid. Really the only thing I have to say about this card is that I preferred it when it was called Druid of the Acorn, because I really liked the image in my head of these squirrels being druids. and having like almost a Norse mythology Ratatoskr druid archetype, where it's like the leader of the druids of the Acorn is like a really big squirrel going up and down the world tree. And I just liked that mental image. And I thought that flavor was so good that I would play it regardless. But now that it's called Acorn Bearer, it loses some of that for me. 1 mana 2/1, get 2 1/1s in your hand. It's not bad. It's comparable to the elemental that was a 3 mana 2/3, put 2 1/1s in your hand. Although those were 1/2s and not 1/1s. I think it's fine. I think it would be better if it played them. If it was Death Rattle, have the 2. I think that would have been better. But this is fine. Yeah, I definitely think it should have been summon the 2 1/1s. Because Druid doesn't have any hand buffing to speak of, so why? But it's fine. And it's a perfectly good turn 1 play. So you play this, they kill it, and then on turn 2 you got 2 1/1s to play if you want to. So, yeah, I guess. It's fine. It's alright. Meh. Next. The Sunriver Spy. 2 mana 2/3 Battlecry. If you control a secret, gain +1/+1. Yeah. Mage. Hunter. Paladin. Maybe Rogue. Probably not Rogue. But Hunter, Mage, Paladin. Any of them? Especially Paladin, since they're trying to bring back Secret Paladin. This is a great Secret Paladin minion to play. 2 mana 3/4 is great. That's really good. Nothing else to say there. Next. Mysterious Blade. 2 mana 2/2 Paladin weapon. Battlecry. If you control a secret, gain +1 attack. Hey, more Paladin secret synergy. 2 mana 3/2. Where have we seen that before? I think just because of that, people are going to play it. Doesn't have anything to do with the stupid secret synergy. Although, also the secret synergy. So, there you go. Paladin is a new warrior, guys. Except with secrets. So worse, and better, and worse. Next. Blessing of the Ancients. 3 mana twin spell for Druid. Give your minions +1/+1. I don't know. I'm a little bit more pessimistic about this than they were on the stream. They were like, yeah, 6 mana +2/+2 to your board. It sucks. It's not very good. I mean, 1 mana give your minions +1/+1 is a card we've made before with Jade Lotus. But the versatility of this really makes it worth it, because you could get all these things out and you could buff them, and then you can get more stuff out and you can buff them again. I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, we have, I guess since you took Jade Lotus out and our only replacement is 2 mana, give things +1/+1. 3 mana, have the versatility of doing it twice. You could argue that, I guess. But you probably shouldn't have brought up Jade Lotus when you said that, because that made me doubt everything about what you were saying. I guess it's fine. Token Druid has been a thing as long as Token Warlock has been, so sure. I mean, I could definitely see it with the with the Dreamway Guardians and stuff, with Heal Druid, with Token Druids, with Tree Druid. I could see it, but it doesn't feel great. I think this is a card that's going to be good, but you're going to feel bad every time you play it, and you are going to be waiting on bated breath for anything to replace this with. I really think so. I think it's a good card that you're going to feel bad for playing, and that it's an oxymoron, but there you go. Next, Scargill, the Merlok legendary for Shaman. 4 mana, 4/4. Your Merloks cost 1. Holy crap! In Wild, forget about it. In Standard, with the rest of the Merloks that we're about to look at, heck yeah, Merlok Shaman is back. Yes. Sure, this card isn't as good as old Merkai, but it's pretty damn good. Like, basically, for Merlok decks specifically, a 4-mana Aviana. And how do you argue with that? You can't argue with that. That's so good. It's ridiculous. Yeah, we're losing the quest, but who needs it? We have Scargill. Scargill is better than Quest. Probably isn't, but I don't know. Makes me feel good saying it. Alright, next. The Underbelly Angler. Shaman Merlok, 2 mana, 2/3. After you play a Merlok, add a random Merlok to your hand. Hey! Tons of Merlok synergy. So much Merlok synergy. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Like, this is practically Merlok Echo, but better. Like, on turn 10, you play this. You play a Merlok. You play the Merlok that you drew. You play the Merlok that you drew. You play the Merlok that you drew. All the better if you've got Scargill out and all of them cost 1. You kidding? Turn 10. You play a whole board worth of Merloks, regardless of what they are. It's crazy good. Crazy good. It's in any Merlok deck, Wild or Standard. Crazy good. Next. Soul of the Merlok. Shaman spell, 2 mana, give your minions Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 Merlok. It's like the Merlok Totem, except it's Soul of the Forest, but for Merloks. And it's good. Yeah. I mean, both the Totem for Merloks was played, and Soul of the Forest is played. Smash those together, make it cheaper. Why wouldn't this see play? You're basically countering board clear in a Merlok deck, which, I mean, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Murloc's one weakness was board clear, and now you haven't gotten rid of it entirely. Yeah, they turn into 1/1 Murlocs with no synergy, but that's still nuts. That's so good, and I love the card art. I love the derpy one and right there, and I love that one's got the sword sticking in him. It's so good. Oh my god, my allergies are destroying me. Help. We're not even on to the card dump yet. Oh my gosh, there's so many cards, you guys. There's so many. I might split this into two. I honestly think I should. I'm gonna split it into two. Screw it. This is nuts. Next, Mutate. 0 mana Shaman spell. Transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more. I like it. It's a small mutate. It's a small mutation, transmutation. Yeah. It's transform one friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. It's not amazing, and it's probably not one that's worth the card it's printed on, as far as I'm concerned, really. But I mean, the Hagatha synergy was a really good idea on Kidler's part, and I mean, just for me personally, I love the card art. I love that we're in like the sewers. And it actually reminds me a lot of, like, Gremlins 2, you know, with the bat gremlin. I don't really know why, it just does, and I like it. It looks actually more like this poor Merlok is swimming around in, like, toxic waste, but in Dalaran, so it's magic toxic waste. Gets a little bit on him, and he starts turning into another creature. It's cool. So flavorful. I love it. I probably won't put it in any of my decks. But I love it anyway. Next. Rapid Fire. Hunter spell. 1 mana. Twin spell. Deal 1 damage. Yeah. Yeah. Arcane shot, but 2. And yeah. There's really nothing to say about this. It's a perfectly good Hunter spell. And I mean, hey. It synergizes really well off of that 2 mana 0/6 with spell damage. My brain is just dying. Yeah, nothing really else to say about it. It's just a good Hunter spell. Next. Safeguard. 6 mana 4/5 mech with taunt, death rattle, summon a 0/5 vault safe with taunt. Oh my gosh, taunt intensifies. 6 mana 4/5 stinks, but that's so much taunt. That's effectively a 6 mana 4/10. And that's not bad. That's not bad at all. With the death rattle synergy, especially the death rattle synergy they pulled off in the stream, like, that's not even difficult, what he was doing with it. So, yeah, even better in a mech warrior deck, or a mech hunter deck. Jesus, can you imagine magnetizing? Like he magnetized the Ziliax on that. Imagine if you could get that more reliably. Like, I mean, you magnetize the beryllium nullifier onto this thing, forget it. And that actually like goes really well because it's 6 mana 7 mana. So 6 mana you play this, 7 mana you play the beryllium nullifier, you magnetize it onto this, you got yourself a 7/13 with taunt, and oh my gosh. Just steam coming out of my ears. Crazy. Nuts. On its own, it's sort of, it's alright, it's okay, but the possibilities they're staggering with it, so, whew. Next. Toxfin. Neutral Merlok, 1 mana, 1/2, battle cry, give a friendly Merlok poisonous, so good. I mean, woof. Giving a friendly Merlok poisonous, letting your little, like, 1/1 Merlok win it into a big thing and get rid of it. Yo, you see that taunt? No, you don't. It's gone. Merlok go face. Nuts. Merlok decks are coming back, and they are scarier than ever. Next. The Ursa Tron. 3 mana 3/3 Hunter mech. Death rattle, draw a mech from your deck. I I guess if you're going for the Death Rattle Hunter, this synergizes with it. If you're going for the Death Rattle Mech Hunter, this works with that, because it is mech and it's Death Rattle. Yeah, I mean, it could fit into 3 different archetypes, none of which work right now, but all 3 of them are ones they're trying to push, so it could go in any of them. Give it a shot. Give it a try. I like that it doesn't require anything. It's just a Death Rattle. Draw a mech from your deck. So, I mean, even if you're not going for a mech deck, you could put this and Ziliax in your deck. Or something else that's mech related. Probably not an Oblivitron, if I'm honest, but, you know, something else. You could see it. I could see it. Alright. Next, we're getting into the card dump cards. This episode's gone on for an hour. So, let's do the thumbs. And we'll do it. We'll do the card dump cards in another episode, yeah? There's no sense killing ourselves in like a 2-hour video. Let's not do that. We got time. We got time. So, let's do the thumbs. So, starting with the exotic Mount Seller, I'm going to say maybe. It fits in a lot of decks, but it might be too expensive and it might get tossed. So, I'm going to say maybe. I am kind of hopeful for it, though. Barista Lynchen, I'm going to say maybe. Very interesting. Very cool. I'd love to see it in action. But as of right now, it's sort of an unknown. Next, the Boom Reaver. Maybe. It's good, but it doesn't want to be in the one deck that it was named after, and it hurts me inside. Next, Conjurer's Calling. Maybe Token Mage? Token Mage? Potion Vendor. Yes. So useful. So much utility in such a nice, tiny package. Dalaran Librarian? Maybe. Depends entirely on whether or not Silent Synergy works. Arcane Watcher? Maybe. Has a better chance than the Librarian, but still kind of hopes for that Silent Synergy. Hench Clan Shadequill? I'm gonna say yes. It doesn't need the silence thing, but if it has the silence thing, all the better. Convincing Infiltrator? I'm gonna say maybe. It's pretty good in terms of it being a taunt and destroy a random enemy minion, but I think this might be a little bit too expensive or a little bit too weak. If you could buff it, great. If you can't, Waggle Pick? I'm gonna say yes. Rogues like to bounce, and rogues like weapons. What's to hate? Unsleeping Sole? Yes. Super useful. Works with the silence, so, you know, if the silence works, but even if it doesn't, it can still find a home. Soldier of Fortune? Maybe. Depends entirely on the silent synergy thing. Proud Defender? No. No. I think this, like, completely defeats the entire point of a taunt minion. So, other than a desperation play, you won't see it. Inferno, yes, so useful. Demon synergy, imp synergy, just booms. Yeah, forget about it. Mana Reservoir, yes, it's gonna see. It has a lot of functionality and a lot of decks. If Silence Priest works, this card is gonna be the first thing booted, though. So maybe I should say maybe, because maybe the other thing will work, and then this thing will be useless. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for it. Magic Dart Frog, yes, it's a great magical friend. Magic Carpet, yes, it's a great token friend. Mad Summoner, no, it's a meme, it's a joke, come on. It only has one potential use, and you have to have both the pieces in your hand to do it. And even if you do, it's not like game-winning or anything, it's just for fun. I'm gonna try it. But it's just for fun. Jumbo Imp, yes. Oh my gosh, so good. Kirin Tor TriCaster, I think the math checks out. Sunriver Warm Age, maybe. It sort of wants to be in a big spell deck, and a lot of that synergies are going away. Maybe. Acorn Bearer, maybe. I don't know. It's It's alright. It's not terrible, but it'll probably get booted for something else. It's fine. It's just... Sunriver Spy? Yes. Great secret synergy for all your secret needs. Mysterious Blade. Hey, the War Axe is back! Blessing of the Ancients. Maybe. It's probably good, but it hurts. It hurts to play. Scargill. Oh my gosh, yes. Underbelly Angler. Busted! It's so good. Soul of the Merlok. Yes. Mutate. No. But maybe. But no. But maybe. But maybe. But probably not. Rapid Fire. Yes. Safeguard. Yes. Toxfin. Oh my god, yes. Ursa Tron. Maybe. Maybe. There's a lot of potential for this guy. He's a 3-mana 3/3. Potential. Alright. In the next episode we're gonna go into the card dump cards. So one more card reveal episode, guys. Just one more. Just one more. We can do it. But I need another glass of water. Goodbye, everybody.